Bienvenidos! Hello, scaredy cats. Welcome to Jump Scare, the weekly show where I bring you into the frightening world of horror. I am your host, Cierra Caballero. And this is my friend Ghostface. Look how cute he is. I got him from Box Lunch from the Galleria in Dallas, and he's my new friend. He's so cute. Well, he's going to hang out with me while I'm doing the show. Not sure where he can sit, but he's going to sit somewhere. Spanish cultures are deeply ingrained with a macabre collection of supernatural and spine-tingling ghost stories such as La Llorona, El Cuco, and El Cibón, and a deep respect for the dead, namely Dia de los Muertos. Soon, the Spanish film industry began to reflect this, and soon bringing not only the golden age of Fantahorror, but some of the most influential horror films and directors of today. The Spanish horror that we know of today did not start until the late 1960s, but there are many films that predate and inspired the genre. Segundo de Chamon, a pioneer director and trick technician, much like George Méliès, if you want like comparison of kind of his style, directed a handful of spooky silent films such as Satan Has Fun in 1907 and Electric Hotel in 1908. Other earlier Spanish horror films include Luis Buñuel's Un Chien Andalou in 1926. Again, eye slicing. The popular 1931 Spanish-language Dracula, though in Spanish, was a Universal Studios picture. It was common practice for the studio to film their foreign language versions using the same sets and costumes. Funny enough, director George Melford did not understand Spanish at all, and according to Lupita Tovar, used a translator throughout production. George Melford also went on to direct La Voluntad de Muerto in 1930, a Spanish version of The Cat and the Canary. Other popular horror, El Fantasma del Convento in 1934, and The Tower of the Seven Hunchbacks in 1944 by Edgar Neville, a film that was considered to be a reference point for Spanish horror. The 1960s heralded Jesus Franco, a director at the forefront of the so-called Fantahorror movement. His film Gritos en la Noche, or Cries in the Night in 1961, was a popular gothic horror film and probably one of the most best parts of the Spanish horror film genre. Early horror, gothic horror stuff. Anyway, it was fairly popular. You get what I'm saying. And then he later released his popular film, The Awful Dr. Orloff in 1962, which Dr. Orloff became one of the most recognized characters in Spanish cinema and one of the only characters to later get a sequel, The Secret of Dr. Orloff. Franco would go on to direct films including Necronomicon, Vampire Blues and the Cannibals with the late Lina Romay, and Vampiros Lesbos with the late Soledad Miranda. The golden age of Fantahorror lasted from 1966 to around 1976, and many of the films were inspired by Italian giallo and even Hammer films of that time. Directors at the forefront of Fantahorror were, besides Jesus Franco, were Narciso Albanaz Serrador and Paul Naschy. The third most watched Spanish horror film of all time in Spanish history is La Residencia, The Residence, in 1969 by Narciso Albanaz Serrador. And it was considered one of the greatest triumphs in Spanish horror films. Horror Express from 1972 bridged the gap as a Spanish-British film. It was filmed in Madrid and starred horror legends such as Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. The film was reflective of the popular Hammer films the studio Christopher Lee was at the forefront of course, and funny enough, the film was not a success in director Eugenio Martin's home country of Spain, but it was popular here. And in the UK, funny enough. Well, Spanish horror continued to flourish in the 80s throughout the 90s with Quien Puede Matar a un Niño, or Who Can Kill a Child? in 1976 by Narciso Abanez-Serrador, where the kids were the killers. I heard that film is fantastic. I have to get my hands on it, by the way. And Italian influence continued with the Spanish-Italian cult exploitation slasher Pieces in 1982 by cult director Juan Piqué Simón, who also did Slugs, the movie. The 80s also welcomed the only horror film from art house director Bigas Luna with his film Anguish in 1987. The late 90s began to shape the genre as you know it today with Thesis from 1996 by Alejandro Amenábar, the first opus of one of the most acclaimed directors of contemporary Spanish cinema, and he would later go on to direct the wildly popular film The Others in 2001. Then later, Cronos, a directorial debut by none other than Guillermo del Toro, was released in 1993. Del Toro would later be a huge part of the neo-fantasy movement. He also was a part of a filmmaking movement, Los Directores, in Mexico, that include directors Alejandro González Iñárritu and Alfonso Cuarón. A new golden age has begun, a movement deemed the neo-fantasy movement from 2000 to around 2009, with films such as The Orphanage with Spanish scream queen Belén Rueda, who also starred in the other horror film Julia's Eyes. And we're coming back to Guillermo del Toro, who brought out his films Pan's Labyrinth and Devil's Backbone, some of my personal favorite films. And, of course, the widely popular REC franchise, REC, that inspired the American reimagining Quarantine. Spanish horror is still going really strong with films such as The Skin I Live In, Witchin' and Bitchin', Apartment 143, We Are the Flesh, and this year's Borderline. Keep up with the latest Spanish horror releases and reviews on SpanishFear.com. They have really great reviews on there, and they'll let you know what films are coming out and what films you should check out. It's pretty cool. If you want to know more about Spanish horror, check out Victor Matellanos' book, Spanish Horror. A new re-edition has been released with a prologue by Paul Naschy and a presentation with Christopher Lee. So far, the book is only available in Spanish. There is a documentary. Check out Clawing, A Journey Through Spanish Horror. This documentary is based off Victor Matellanos' book and is directed by him. Many familiar faces join the documentary, including Joe Dante, Paco Plaza, Coraline Munro, and The Ninth Gate's Jack Taylor. For me, one of my first Spanish horror films that I remember most clearly was Pan's Labyrinth. And from there, I was obsessed with a lot of Spanish horror films. I started watching a lot of the REC franchise. Devil's Backbone is one of my personal favorites, and I'm still finding more. I heard that Witchin' and Bitchin' is on Netflix, and that is definitely one of the next ones that I will be watching. Well, big news. Also, in 2 weeks, Jump Scare will have new decor thanks to Lloyd Kaufman and Trauma Entertainment. We will also be doing a giveaway exclusive on our Patreon page. So if you're interested, be sure to pledge on our Patreon page, which you can find in the link provided. So let us know if you win, that'll be so cool. And let me know in the comments down below what your favorite Spanish horror film is and what films that you are excited that are coming out soon. Let me know in the comments below. Well, that's it for this week's Jump Scare. Let us know in the comments below what your favorite Spanish horror film is and what Spanish horror film you are excited about that's coming out soon. Let me know. I really want to know what films are coming out that I haven't heard of yet, guys. And be sure to like and subscribe to the PNTV channel on YouTube and check out our Patreon for extra content like behind the scenes and how this very show is made. And you can learn how you can support PopNerdTV as well. And of course, the awesome giveaway that we will be doing, don't forget. And thanks goes out to our sponsors, Famous Monsters of Filmland, and of course, Lloyd Kaufman and Trauma Entertainment. And until next time, stay spooky, my friends.